Hi, friends. Welcome back to Calligraphy Tips with Lindsay. Last week, we looked at acrylic inks, and my friend Andrea mentioned she uses acrylic gouache and gets good results when she combines it with traditional gouache for durable, waterproof writing needs. I've never tried this combo before, so I thought this week we could give it a shot together and compare results. Here is everything I'm using today. Liquitex acrylic ink, Holbein acrylic gouache, and Winsor Newton traditional gouache. I also have a paint palette, a mixing brush, a little dropper jar with water, and a wash jar for cleaning my brush and nib while I work. First up is the acrylic ink. It flows nicely, but doesn't deliver very fine hairlines. Next, I'm mixing up some acrylic gouache. It's an acrylic-based gouache, so it should be waterproof with a matte finish when dry. Gouache is too thick to use straight out of the tube, so I'm thinning it with a bit of water. Once thinned, it also flows nicely. This is the traditional gouache, one of my favorite choices for pointed pen. If you'd like to know more about traditional gouache, you can check out my past calligraphy tip video on it. Traditional gouache also needs to be thinned for use, and it is not waterproof. As you can see, it flows beautifully. It's very opaque, and it can deliver very fine hairlines. Lastly, I'm trying the mix of the Acryla and the traditional gouache. They blend together very well. I've gone with a ratio of about 1:1, and I'm curious to see how waterproof this will be once it's dry. Okay, about 24 hours have passed in my time, and I'm going to compare all our tests from yesterday to see how well they wrote and how waterproof they are. The acrylic ink from Liquitex has crisp edges, but the thickest hairlines. As expected, it's very waterproof. The Acryla gouache from Holbein also has nice, sharp edges, and the hairlines are fine, but not quite as delicate as those of the traditional gouache. It is also very waterproof, although it does have a tiny bit of lifting. The traditional gouache is still my favorite from a purely aesthetic standpoint. The edges are sharp, the color is opaque with a soft matte finish, and the hairlines can be as fine as I want them. It can be smeared with a careless finger, though, and it is not in any way waterproof. Here's our little experiment, the 1:1 mix of acrylic gouache with traditional gouache. The quality is good. I'd say very similar to the quality of the acrylic gouache on its own. And it's fairly waterproof. Some of the traditional gouache is still lifting out, but nowhere near as much as if the Acryla wasn't in the mix. All in all, I'd say acrylic ink is your best choice if you need something easy to use and totally waterproof. Acrylic-based gouache is perfect when you really care about line quality, but still need something waterproof and are willing to put in the extra effort to mix up the right consistency. A mix of acrylic and traditional gouache is a good option when you need good line quality, but also want something a bit more durable. A traditional gouache is best when you care most about line quality and aren't at all concerned about smearing or water exposure. Do you have a favorite from any of the inks we looked at today? I'm a fan of the gouache mixes and will definitely be adding them into my toolbox to keep in mind for future projects. I hope you've all found this helpful and will join me again for future calligraphy tips with Lindsay. As always, thank you for watching, and thank you to Andrea for this tip.